Okay, are you guys ready? I think we'll get started. I'm excited to be here today. I'm Shelly Wahlstrom. I'm also the current chairman of the Alliance. And when we were deciding what to have for this subject, Julia Ross called me and said, why don't you talk about self-publishing? So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm just curious, has anybody in here ever published a book yet so far? No?
I've published a workbook, a small workbook.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. Wonderful. All right. So then you guys are kind of new to most of this then. And I'm going to teach you what I know. But I'm going to start out with why I do what I do and why I wrote a book. It wasn't something I thought I was going to do. And, but can I tell you guys a story for a minute, a really quick story of why I'm even part of this whole thing. 2017, I have 3 daughters. January 17th, I had a 11-month-old granddaughter who became sick. And my daughter called me and she said, Mom, we're going to the hospital because Brecklin is very, very sick. And the crazy thing is she's never been sick really before. So it didn't make any sense. But we went to the doctor. And she took her to the doctor, took her to the hospital. She called me and said, Mom, she's got type 1 diabetes. She was 11 months old. And I just thought to myself, how does that happen? Look, babies don't get diabetes. Well, yes, they do. So it put us on this really crazy journey of something we had no idea how to take care of a little baby and give her insulin. Well, April of 2017, my middle daughter was getting ready to have a baby, and she'd done everything that she was supposed to, everything natural. She'd eaten well. She'd done everything she could to do to have this beautiful baby. So she had this baby, all went well. The delivery was perfect. She got this beautiful little grandbaby, little girl. And 3 days later, she was into full-blown postpartum depression, OCD. And she ended up in the psych ward. On top of that, my 3rd daughter, my baby, was in jail. Not for the first time, not the second, not the third, but the 4th. And so it was just one of those years where it felt like everything was falling apart. So now I'm going to back up the daughter that I just said who was in jail for the 4th time. At age 6, she was diagnosed with anxiety. And we did what all moms did. I went and put her on some medication. Yay, we're great. And at age 15, she came to me and said, Mom, I'm tired of being a doctor's science project. I just want to feel normal. And my heart broke because I thought I had done everything I could. I'd done everything that I thought was out there possible to help her. And unfortunately, she turned to drugs and alcohol for her normal. It wasn't a world I understood. It wasn't anything that was on my radar. I thought I could love her enough or I could ground her enough. And I'm sure that you guys can understand how not well that worked. Got her out of high school. At the time, she was addicted to marijuana and to alcohol. Spent thousands and thousands of dollars to put her into a rehab center, thinking that was the answer. Get her away from 30 days, get her into this program, and she's going to come out clean from drugs and alcohol. And she did. She came out 30 days later, clean from drugs and alcohol, but she came out addicted to sugar, caffeine, and tobacco. But I thought, well, at least those are legal, and which one would I rather have? And she was clean. So I was like, yes, we won, right? In my nativity, we're done with addiction. Little did I know that it was just the beginning, and actually the beginning of my hell that I would go through, because in 30 days later, she was introduced to meth, and it rocked my world. It was so scary. It spiraled me into a place that I lived in fear, complete fear. The minute she would leave my house to the minute she was home. And meth changes everything about her. I became fearful of her. I was afraid that she would kill herself, kill somebody else. You know, the first time she ended up in jail, I was actually relieved, because I thought, whew, for the first time in years, I know where my daughter's at. And also in my nativity, I thought, well, she's gone to jail once. If I went, I would never have to go back again. It'd be a one and done experience. And she wasn't. And so it didn't make sense to me. She came out, she's like, Mom, I'm going to stay clean. I'm going to stay clean, right? And what I've learned about addiction is somebody who struggles with addiction, they have the desire. First of all, they never wanted to be one. Second of all, they're usually self-medicating for something. And third is they're just white knuckling it. So I'd watch her hold on about 6 months, and then she'd relapse, and then she'd be back, and then she'd end up in jail. And I watched this process, and I thought, what can I do to help my daughter? Because I was afraid of losing her. And so I did the only thing I could do, and that was pray. I was like, I got to have help here. And a couple of days later, I was watching a show on TV, and they were talking about using specific amino acids through an IV at rehab centers. And after 3 days, those cravings started to go away. And after 10 days, they're almost completely gone. There's an 85% rate of recovery. And I thought, this is my answer. This is what my daughter needs. But it was $1,000 a day. So I thought, okay, can there be a different answer? What else can I do? So I started Googling. I thought, I understand amino acids are a supplement. I didn't understand how they work, but I understood that they were a supplement. And so I thought, why can't I just give her a whole bunch of them? Why don't I just go to the health food store, buy her a whole bunch of amino acids, and give her a whole bunch of them? And maybe it'll take longer than 10 days. Maybe it'll take like a month, but maybe that would help her. And so then we got a couple that need to mute. We mute those. And Amy, can you, there we go. Okay, so that was my thought. And a friend of mine who was a nurse said, you can't just throw amino acids at people, you need to understand them. I thought, well, that was probably a really good piece of advice. So then I Googled rehab centers that use supplements, and I'm in Utah, and I found one in Florida. And I called and I talked to this guy named Lyle, who is part of the Alliance, or has been. That time I didn't know anything about him. And I said, look, first of all, I'm a certified hypnotherapist. I have clients that I know need this. And my daughter struggles with addiction. What can you teach me about amino acids? And he said, I could teach you everything, but in 2 weeks, we're having a training in Salt Lake City. And you're going to come and learn everything you need to know. And it opened my world to, oh my gosh, what is this? What is the biochemical that is missing in addiction? And that's what introduced me to this world. The class was run by Christina Veselak, and I loved it. It opened me up to this new information. I couldn't get enough of it. I was like, what is it about the brain that I don't understand? And it was so empowering. So then I started reading as much as I could. I took all of Christina's classes. I read all the books from Julia Ross. And I thought, one day I want to meet her. And I started getting involved. I started to learn about the Alliance. I started to tell everybody I could about amino acid therapy. Feed the brain, feed the body, and feed and change your thoughts. And that became my program. feed the brain specific amino acids, feed your body with nutrition, because there's a connection between the brain and body when it comes to mental health. So what you eat matters. And feed and change your thoughts through my modality, through hypnotherapy. And then when I realized, I got super excited and I thought, oh my gosh, wait a minute. This isn't just for that hardcore who the stereotype of what an addict is. This is also for that little 6-year-old who was struggling with anxiety, my little daughter. Had I known about this information when she was 6, she may not have turned to drugs and alcohol at age 15. And that's when I thought this information needs to get out. I started sharing it with everybody that would listen to me. And I would speak everywhere. And one day, I would tell people, look, these are the amino acids you need. Now go to the health food store or on Amazon and buy them. And one of my clients one day, she's like, Shelly, I'm in such a hurry. I don't have time to look them up. Just send me a link. Well, that was 5 years ago. I didn't know what a link was. And I kept saying to her, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, there's a link in Amazon. Just tell me which of the amino acids I need so I can just buy them. And I'm like, I don't know what link is. And she's like, why are you sending everybody to Amazon and to the health food store? Why don't you have your own line of amino acids? And I'm like, I don't know. Who does that? But I did. So I created my own line of supplements called Shelly Joe Hypno Aminos supplements. And it's the 6 basic amino acids: 5-HTP, positive mind; tryptophan, positive sleep; DLPA, happy; GABA, chill; glutamine, craving be gone; and tyrosine, energy booster. And things just exploded. And then 2020 hits, right? And I was scheduled to teach 8 at 8 different events, because I would go speak anywhere to anybody that would let me. And they all got canceled. So I thought to myself, now what do I do? How do I get the word out? So I decided to write a book. I didn't know how to write a book. I had no clue. So I took a class on how to write a book. And it was like a 12-week class. Learn how to write a book. That was in June of 2020. And I was like, yes, I'll write the book. I'll put the same information that I would speak about, and I'll put it in a book. And that way I can get the word out. And September of 2020, I was roller skating. I fell and I broke my wrist. So that stopped my book writing for a little while. And so about April of, well, it was end of March of 2021, I finally got my book written. And I was ready. I was ready to publish it. And I text my friend, said, okay, it's all ready to go. It's on Amazon. I've done everything to do. When I click that button to hit send to be published, how long does it take to publish it? He's like, you'll have a book in your hand within a week. And I panicked because I was like, oh my gosh, this was like my baby. It was like, I'm putting my baby out in the world, and what if somebody doesn't like it? And what if it doesn't do well? And I put the brakes on it for a month because I was in such this state of, what does that look like? What does it mean? What does the unknown look like? The minute I pushed that button, I cried. I was like, I did it. And then a week later, I had the book in my hand. Feed your brain, change your life. Take control of your brain, body, and emotions. And I cried again. Because this is my story. Part of it is my story with me and my daughter. Then it's a how-to. How do amino acids work? What are neurotransmitters? How does that three-legged stool, brain, body, and emotion? So then it talks about the brain, it talks about nutrition, and it talks about hypnotherapy. Super cool. So excited. It was such a great thing. Well, then things opened up. We started speaking again. And I would take my books and I would take them to all my conferences and sell them, and they sold really well. And my friend that is in charge of all these conferences said, hey, we're going to put together a Spanish conference. So I'm like, but I don't speak Spanish. She's like, that's okay. Figure out how you can make it work. So I thought, well, okay, I don't speak Spanish, but somebody else does. So I took my book and I had it translated into Spanish, which was super cool. I don't have a clue what it says. I hope it says what it's supposed to. If anybody knows how to speak Spanish, that'd be awesome. But I then had a book and I had a translator, so I was able to go speak at a Spanish conference. Super cool. That's how those two books got started. I'm gonna tell you one more story, and then I'm gonna get into showing you what I know. Are you guys still with me? All right. When I became a hypnotherapist, I decided to go to an energy healing conference. And I walked into this energy healing conference. I'd never been into it. I knew nothing about crystals and Reiki and oils and body work and any of that stuff. I just knew that I was super excited because I thought, these are my people. This is so cool. And I'd walk up to these people and I was like a kid in a candy shop. What is this? And tell me how this works. And then they would look at me and they're like, well, are you a practitioner? I'm like, yes, I'm a hypnotherapist. And they look at me like I was the devil. And I was like, what? Like, oh my gosh, deer in the headlight, like, oh my gosh, you're going to try to read my mind. You're going to try to control my mind. And I'd kind of laugh because I'm like, okay, well, first of all, if I could read somebody's mind, I'd want to read my husband's, I think. And second of all, if I could have controlled anybody's mind, I would have controlled my teenagers, my daughters when they were teenagers. And hypnosis is scientifically proven. So I'm like, you guys think I'm this woo-woo weird, but you guys believe in all these crystals and energy and all this woo-woo stuff, right? It didn't make any sense to me. But I decided at that time, there was definitely a division between hypnotherapists and the energy world. And in my mind, I thought, well, I want to go out and I want to learn everything I can so that I can have all these different tools so I can help my clients. And then I realized, as it's evolved, now I have lots of friends that are in the energy world, and I go speak at the energy healing conferences a lot. And now it molds together. But I thought to myself, if that's how I felt when I went to this energy healing conference, knowing, and maybe it wasn't just energy, but maybe it was just alternative medicines, alternative choices. I probably am not the only one that thought that was wondering, what is this all about? So I decided to write my second book. And this one became I collaborated. I invited my friends, my energy healing friends, to come together to create a book. It's like a energy healing 101. It's alternative medicine 101, which is so that people who knew nothing about energy or hypnosis could come together and bridge that the world of traditional medicine and alternative healing. So then we created another book, and I started in February of this year, and in July we did another book. So I published another one, From Crazy to Calm, Natural Ways to Boost Your Mental Health. And that was really cool. And I did it I collaborated with these 15 people. So that was super, super fun. And then once you write one book, it's almost like, I don't want to say it's addictive because it's not quite, but it's so inspiring. It's so motivating. I mean, it's super exciting. So now I'm starting to work on my other one. I actually, when you write a book, you want to get it in an ebook and you get it in a paperback. And then the goal is to get it so that you've recorded it. So I just recorded my first book. Feed Your Brain, Change Your Life. I just recorded that one. And you can pay somebody to do it, or you can do it yourself. And I decided to do it myself because it's my story. And I thought, well, I got to figure out how to make my room so it's soundproof so that you can't hear things. Like my grandbaby that's just started crying. So I don't know if you guys can hear her or not, but anyway, so I recorded it in my closet. I sat in there with my book, surrounded by my clothes, because that was the buffer to keep the sound buffered. And I read my book. And my question to you is, have you ever really noticed how much of a book you actually read or don't read? Because here I had written this book, and yet I go to record it, and I'm skipping over these words, and I'm having to re-record because I didn't realize that when you are just reading, your mind picks up all these different words that you don't really read word for word. So it was a learning process to be able to have to sit down and rewrite or reread almost every chapter until I figured out that I needed to read it. Okay. Can you guys hear my grandbaby crying? Is it loud? You're okay? Okay. All right. So that's how I got into this. And I got so excited, and I was talking to Julia about it, because the really cool thing is I told you that I read her books and I wanted to meet her. And so I joined the Alliance as a professional so that I could do her roundtables, because she is one of the professionals in the roundtables. And the first time I was on this call with her, I was like starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually on here with Julia Ross. I mean, to me, it was like, the original amino acid lady. So I call myself the amino acid lady. She's like the original. So when I got my book done, we were in the round table, and I made the comment, hey, I just wrote a book. And put it out there, didn't think anything of it. And then she emails me and says, I just want you to know I bought your book. And I was like, oh my gosh, she studied this for so long, and now she's reading my book. And she's like, I love your book. Let's get together and tweak some of the things. And so we did. I spent time with her, and she and I went page by page, almost page by page, word for word, and made sure that the information that I had in my book, that it was easy to read and it made sense. And I'm so excited that I put the acknowledgement for Julia on here, because that was super exciting to me. And that's why I'm here today, is because when my second book came out, I told her about it. And she's like, I think we need a class on how to self-publish. So here we are. You guys still with me? All right. So now I'm going to share my screen, because I'm going to go walk you through this process of what it looks like to self-publish, because there's lots of classes out there. There's lots of people that will have you spend a whole bunch of money to write a book. But it's really not that difficult. It's just once you understand the process. Would I suggest you take a class? Yes. And I do have access to a couple classes that I've taken that when we get all done, I'll tell you how you can get a hold of me, and I can give you that information. But I would not pay somebody a lot of money to help me publish a book. And this is why. So now I'm going to share my screen. Can I share my screen, Anne?
Yes, Miss Shelly.
Okay, so we're going to go to this. So I've just learned how to do this through Canva. Usually I use Google Chrome, but I was like, I think I should learn how to do a new kind of slideshow. All right, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Does that work? Okay, thank you. All right, how to self-publish. That's what I want to talk to you about. And how to go about it, whether you've written a book or not. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to decide on a title and a subtitle. Okay. And the really cool thing about this is it doesn't have to be become permanent until it's registered. So when I first was writing my book, I couldn't decide, do I want to call it From Crazy to Calm? Do I want to call it From Feed Your Brain? And it just started to evolve into Feed Your Brain, Change Your Life. But at least I had an idea. So the first step is to decide. So you have something in your mind. What do you want to call it? And if anytime you guys have any questions, let me know. The second thing is to create an outline. And this usually is what gets people kind of hung up because they're like, I don't know what to do. So if you can write down 12 key points that you want to focus on. So, when it came to Feed Your Brain, Change Your Life, a couple of my key points was my story. It was what are the neurotransmitters? And so then I went through each of them and what are the amino acids? So find 12 points that you're going to focus on in your book. And then the guy that I wrote the class with, who taught me, he said, take each of those key points and put them on a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, right on the top. Don't make it a big deal. And then take each of those and write down several questions that somebody may ask you about a point that you could teach them about, or 7 questions that you may be able to answer. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to write a thesis. Okay, a thesis point. What's the purpose of the book? What do you want the reader to get out of it? And this should be your intro. Okay, so it's either going to be your intro page or it's going to be your first chapter. Okay, so the purpose of my book is why read this book? Are you tired of feeling tired? Do you struggle to get going in the morning until you get your cup of coffee, energy drink, or sugar? Is a feeling of uptight, overstressed, can't calm down, and not in your stomach something you deal with consistently? Is sleep only something you dream of, even after counting millions of sheep? Those racing thoughts just don't stop racing. After feelings of worry, or are feelings of worry, anxiety, depression, stress constantly with you? Feeling anxious, depressed, stressed, addictive cravings? Is sugar, alcohol, legal or illegal drugs control your life? Do behaviors such as excessive TV watching, social media or internet scrolling, out of control shopping, spending, pornography, gaming, gambling, even excess exercise or constant working out occupy all your free time? You have a feeling of grief, find yourself crying easily or even self-harm? Does happiness seem like it's for others and not for you? Would you like to increase your energy, sleep calm, happy, positive, weight loss, and take control of your life? Do the thoughts of creating optimal health give you hope? Then this book is for you. This book is my journey of how I found answers to help my daughter, family, friends, and clients, and what I've learned may help you too. What is the 3-legged stool concept? Are you intrigued? Then continue. That tells them what that book is about. That gives them an idea of what are they going to learn in that book. My second one is I wrote about why read this book? And I put on there what it's about. It's about the opening your eyes to alternatives to bring optimal health. Traditional options have their place, and so do alternative options. It allows you to see that there are many different alternatives to traditional medicine. Yet until you know the options, you may not know you have choices. And so that was what I wrote in my second book is, what are they going to get out of the book so that they understand the purpose? Why should they read it? Okay. Now, the next thing is to continue to write your chapters. So set time aside. Now, I do struggle with ADD and ADHD. And I take my amino acids and I take everything. But I also call it my superpower. Now, not everybody has this special superpower but me. Like me, but I'm also able to work in small increments of time. So I don't have to set aside a whole bunch of time to write. It might just be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Or you could sit down and write a chapter after chapter after chapter. Just continue to write. Write through your chapters. The other thing is, I don't recommend actually going back in and reading your chapters once you write it. And that might sound kind of odd, except for the fact that it's very easy to get stuck in that this isn't perfect. And my friend who was teaching me said, done is good enough, right? When you're just writing, you'll have time to go back and edit it later. You'll have time to have somebody else look it over. But when you're writing, just allow yourself to write. Now the question comes up, what about AI, using AI? Because now we've got, artificial intelligence. There's different thoughts about it. Right now, Amazon just came out and said that they're going to limit the books because what happened is that people have been taking AI and then flooding Amazon with these books, but they're not very good because the AI, as good as it is, it's still not in a human voice as much. And they've also had trouble with some of the AIs coming back and copywriting different books. So there's some lawsuits out there. Is it helpful? Absolutely. It's helpful to get some ideas. It's helpful to, let your mind utilize AI. But right now, to write a whole book in AI, it's not where it needs to be. It's not going to be in your voice. And so part of the journey is sitting down and writing, getting your words out. All right. So the next thing is we got to get a cover made. And the reason you want to get a cover made, even before your book is all written, is because it gives you a visual that says, okay, I'm actually writing a book. Right. Now I put these on here because these over here were a couple of the books that I started with. So the amino acid therapy, freaking awesome amino acid therapy is the book it started out as. Then it turned into From Crazy to Calm. And then it moved into Feed Your Brain, Change Your Life. Now, if you look on the other side, it started out From Crazy to Calm. Then it changed to From Chaos to Calm. And then it changed to the one on the corner with the two ladies on there. One looking like she's crazy and the other one is calm. But I chose not to use these ones because I didn't want it specifically to women. I wanted it to be something that even men could feel comfortable with. So the next thing is you're wanting to outsource this. This isn't not where you go on Google and you create something or go on Canva. Unless you are a designer, the best thing to do is to go on what's called Fiverr or Upworks. Either one of those are outsourcing places that you can go in and outsource. And they are good because they're good at what they do. You get them from all over the place, from India and Afghanistan and Indonesia and Mexico and the United States. So you're just going to find somebody that you like and you connect with. And I really like the guy that I've been using. So he started with this one, and then he's the one that also did that one. And the really cool thing is they don't cost a lot of money. I think he charged me $30 per cover. So you can get an idea in your head, and then you can send it over to them, see what they come up with. Because it's not super expensive, you can, if you don't like the way one comes back, they're really, the people that I work with have been so amazing to want to get them right. But if you're not on the same link, I mean, at the same time, you can send it over to somebody else and have them get their idea of what it looks like. But the best thing is to find somebody that knows what they're doing, because they're going to do the front of the book and the back of the book. Okay, so pay for somebody to do that. The next thing is, as you're getting your book ready and done, you're going to need two important people. You need an editor and you need a formatter. The editor is going to be your biggest expense, to have somebody edit your book. The first one that edited my book, he had majored in English. The second one, I think I paid him like $400 to have my book edited. And the second one was a lady I knew who had an English background, and majored in English, and she just wanted to work for amino acids. So I paid her in product, and she edited my book. It's best to get somebody that you don't really know, that is like not your mom or somebody, because they don't want to hurt your feelings, right? And also, when you're getting it edited, you're going to want to also realize that some of it is going to be actual, that there's a good reason to change it. Others points are going to be that it's a matter of opinion. And so even though they edited it, it didn't mean I kept all their edits, because some of the things that they wanted me to take out or change, I felt they were part of the book, and I kept them. But I also got Grammarly. So once I once I went through and had it edited, I also ran it through Grammarly again, just for a second time. Formatting is going to make or break your book. And there's some really good formatters on Fiverr and Upworks. But that should say Upworks, not YouWorks. And I would pay somebody to do formatting. They don't necessarily have to speak English to do your formatting, as long as they can write English, because the formatting is what the book looks like, how it's situated on the page, how far down from the top is it. And I've seen some books come back and they look terrible because their formatter has done a terrible job. Also, back on the editor, if you are going to Fiverr or Upworks, depending on what your your major language is, you're going to want to make sure that whoever does your editing also speaks at least in your native tongue. And like where English is mine, I would want to make sure it was somebody who spoke the same English as I did. So if they are from just because they speak English doesn't mean that they might be the best one, but you get to just trial it. And you can actually send them a sample and then have them send back, see what their editing looks like, see what their formatting looks like, so that you get a better idea if they're the right one for you. Also, I did the same thing with my my recordings for my Audible book. Is before I chose the person I wanted to do my recordings, I recorded a couple, I sent them a sample, and then they sent me back what it sounded like so I could make the decision. Right? So now you go along and you're writing your book, and your book is getting done. You're going to get it edited so it reads well, and then you're going to get your formatting done. The next step is you're going to get an ISBN. It's called an ISBN number. And that is the number that goes right here on the back of the book. Okay. Every single book has an ISBN number. Now you can get free ones through Amazon if you want. But if you have an Amazon ISBN number, it limits you on who else will sell your book, because there is definitely a war between Amazon and the rest of the world when it comes to book publishing. So my suggestion is to go to my identifiers. It's through Bauer. Let's see, Bowker, and purchase them. They're not super expensive. I don't remember what they are by themselves, but I ended up buying like 10. So I bought a packet of 10 because I knew that I was going to write more than one book. And each of your books need a separate ISBN number. So your paperback and your ebooks both need a different ISBN number. Okay. And once you get that ISBN number, that is when your title is now permanent. Okay. So there are two things that you cannot change once your book is registered. You cannot change the title, and you cannot change the author. Other than that, if you get it done and you don't like the cover, you can go back on and change the cover. You can go in and you can change the wording. I've done that. Like I said earlier, I had it done, and then Julia bought my book, and then I went in and tweaked it because there were some things, words and things that she taught me that I wanted in my book. So at that point, then you can go in and you can put anything in. But those are the two things that cannot be changed. And that ISBN number is specific to that book. So meaning once that ISBN number has been decided, you're going to use that ISBN number, and you don't get to use it again on any other book. Okay. So how this works when you're self-publishing. So there are two companies that are, they print on demand. Okay. One is Amazon, which is KDP. And the rest of the world is mostly Ingram Sparks. Okay. So like your Barnes and Noble, Walmart, any of the other places that carry books, they're going to come from Ingram Sparks. So you're going to put them on both of them. So that way you get your Amazon in and then your Ingram Sparks. Because what happens is once a book is published, they send out a directory to all those other companies, all those other places. And then the company decides which books they want to offer. So, which is super cool. I didn't realize it until all of a sudden I was like, oh, I wonder where my book, what it's doing now. And it had been picked up by Barnes and Noble and Walmart, and that was super exciting. There's two thoughts when it comes to ebooks. Amazon is king in the ebook world. There are, Ingram Sparks also does ebooks, but if you're going to go onto Amazon, you may only want to do Amazon, because Amazon also has a Kindle program that you can sign up, and that way they get your book out to more people. You make very little off of the ebooks. But if you do the Kindle, so that people who have a Kindle subscription, then you cannot publish an ebook anywhere else. But right now they are king, so it really isn't a big deal. But you'll get on there once your book is ready, and you're going to upload your manuscript and your book cover. ACX is for Audible. And so that one you'll get on there and you're going to register your book. You want to take control of your book so that somebody can't get on, which is really odd and mind-boggling to me, and steal your book and then have somebody record it for them. So once you've done KDP and then Ingram Sparks, you're going to also, once your book goes live, you're going to go on Amazon to ACX, and you're going to register that you are the author of that. Then you're going to go to Author Central on Amazon and create a page, your author page, so that when people Google you, you actually have a page that shows them, hey, this is who she is and what she likes and what the book looks like. Okay, so this is what we're doing. So this is what it looks like. You get the book done, you've had it edited, you've had it formatted, you've got your cover, and you got the back cover. You're going to publish your ebook first because you want to get people excited. So once you are getting closer, you're wanting to get on social media and get people to back you and say, hey, I got this cool book. It's going to come out. And I want you to when it comes out, to get on and buy it and get some excitement. Okay. Because this is going to decide whether your book, part of that is if it gets out into the world and people get to know it. Okay. So you're going to get people excited to buy it. Then the other thing is you want to get reviews. So you want to get those people who are buying them to also get reviews. And this is important because reviews are what moves your book and gets your book selling more. Okay. And by promoting and getting people to buy your book and to get excited about it, the whole idea is to get that book when it launches to get into the bestseller status, which is super cool. Okay, so it looks like this. So you want to become a best-selling author. Okay, so what happens is when your book goes live, if it does, it's going to become #1 in certain areas. So like my Feed Your Brain, Change Your Life was #1 in the world of caffeine, because I talk about caffeine and headaches and in children's eating disorders. Now, the one thing I want to tell you is this doesn't last. So once you launch your book, and if you get this little title that says #1 release, you want to make sure you take a picture of it, because once it's done, and you can't go back and get a picture of it. Okay. But depending on how it sells, the first few days it sells, determines whether it becomes a bestseller. And then, as you can see, you get this little bestseller ranking right here, which is super cool. So that's what it looks like. So, and then it's rinse and repeat, right? So once you've started one book, then it puts you in a place to be able to start another one. So fun, super cool. All right, so now I'm going to stop sharing and see if there's any questions of anybody. Have any questions that I should probably not stop sharing. Sorry, I got to show you this last thing. Whoops. Okay, if you are interested in getting more information, there's a couple ways you can do it. Whoops. Is you can either go to my hypnoaminas.com. That's my website. Or you can go and you can send me an email at shellyjoe@hypnoaminas.com, and just in the subject write book. Then I'm going to get you some of this information so that you'll have it. You can have it. And then I'll let you know of the class to take and how you can get the information so that you can become, when your book is ready, to become a bestseller. Okay, so if anybody needs that, it's shellyjo@hypnoaminas.com. And now I will stop sharing because we're almost done. All right, any questions anybody might have?
I do have a question. Can you
Okay.
see? Yeah, I'm at a point now where we're concerned about disclaimers and copyright and lawyers and who owns the property. Yeah. We've written a graphic novel, really. It's a curriculum
Okay.
about stigma as it refers to substance use disorders. And it's, for a young target, it's for 16 to 21-year-olds, and it's written in a graphic novel format. So my question is copyright and pricing the book, and how do we do open source and, these kinds of, that's where I'm stuck.
Okay, so copyright. So there's a couple of thoughts on this, but I've swayed because the first person that I was talking to this about says the minute you put it on paper, it's copyrighted. Okay. However, now that I'm learning more and I'm realizing that there's a lot of people who are not honest, it is important to get copyrighted. So Amy, if you will send me an email that says, can you get me the copyright information? I can send you where to get copyright. It's $65 per book.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And I'm just going to do that for my own books because I didn't see the need for it until I have now had my eyes open to the fact that it's really important to get copyrighted. But it's not that expensive, so I would highly recommend it.
How did you decide how to price the book?
So my book is a 6x9, which is a really good book size. And then you want to price your book so that you make the most out of it, because books are interesting. The thing is, you're going to realize is you don't make a lot of money off of them unless you sell a lot of them, right? So like Amazon, when you put a book on Amazon, Amazon is cheaper than Ingram Sparks, but I think it's like $4.50 is what a book like this will. This is a 200 page book, and it's a 6x9, so it's about $4.50 a book. When I first bought my book, when I first did this book in 2021, I charged $14.99. And then as I looked at other books that are about the same size, most of them are going to range about $19.99. And what you can do is you can start them at one price and you can go in and change the price. So you don't have to be stuck in a price. You can start. I don't know how big is your book, Amy?
It's the graphic novel's 72 pages plus covers.
Is it colored or not colored?
Oh yeah, it's graphic novel. It's absolutely 4-color.
Okay, so
we're self-printing them. I mean, we're printing them.
oh, you are.
Yeah, at this point we're printing them, and we have a interactive ebook that it's a curriculum. It's for.
Oh, okay. Well, and a curriculum may go for more. So if it's something that is going to be taught somewhere, you might be able to even go for more than that. So I think I would probably maybe find something that is maybe similar, especially if it's a curriculum and a book. I mean, a book and a interactive book.
So when how do you actually put it on Amazon? Like a printed book? I mean, you actually go to this Amazon, whatever it is, and it's all self-explanatory?
Yep. Go to KDP.
KDP, right.
Thanks, Falsa. Yeah. So you go to KDP and it'll walk you through it. And then it's going to tell you what it's going to cost. So you're going to put your prices in. Because it's colored, it's going to cost more. So it will tell you, Amazon's going to tell you how much it's going to cost them. And then you're going to want to make sure that you could sell it enough that you make enough money off of it.
So are they printing them or am I shipping a bunch that I've already printed?
I don't know. I think that you know what? They ship mine, they print mine.
Okay.
So I think it would be worth it for you to see what the difference is and what you print it and then what they print it. If you're going to make more money off of the print of you printing it, sending to them, that I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they do on that point. I've never thought about that.
They would print them on demand. So
Mhm.
if some school came along and said, I need 300 of them, they will print and ship them.
Right.
Okay, because my client doesn't have the capacity to hold, and they're not a printing house and a shipping house. They're not a publisher. So they're like, well, I don't have room for 1,000 books. I mean, I don't know where I put them. So yeah. So you're saying that the margin out of your $19, you're getting $4 or $5 per book?
No, it cost me $4 to $5. It cost me $4.50 plus shipping. So and tax, because they make you pay tax. So I think for my book, it's almost for like this one, if I buy one copy, my author copy, it's gonna cost me about $6 for them to ship it to me. The more you buy, the less your shipping is going to be. So it's going to be somewhere around probably $5 if it's this size of book. So then when I sell it, I'm going to make $14 a book.
But if I go online and buy your book for $19, how much do you get out of that 19?
I think I get about 5.
Okay.
But I get out because they charge me, they charge the shipping costs plus, they're sending them out. And so I figured out if I buy the book and I sell it, I make about $14. If they sell the book, I might get maybe $11 is what I might get, maybe about $8. But then I'm not shipping them and I'm not doing anything with it. But you can also do both.
Mhm.
So I have these on this. I have these on hand and I take them when I go speak and people buy them from me. I have them on my website so that people can buy them. You don't have to choose whether to have them just do it or you do it. You can do both.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think go ahead. And sorry, Amy, did you have any more questions?
I'm sorry, I'm hogging all the questions, but disclaimers. Do you have disclaimers on there that were looked at by a lawyer, or do you absolve yourself from anybody coming and saying, hey, I tried the amino acids and I broke up out in a hive and I'm suing you, kind of a thing?
So this is my disclaimer on this book. And now this is one that I correlated with it, but my other one's the same. We are not medical doctors, nor do we claim to be. We don't diagnose or prescribe. We recommend based on our education and knowledge. Each chapter stands alone as the personal experience and expert opinion of the author. Each author takes responsibility and accountability for their own business. No claims are made on specific outcomes. Our goal is to open your eyes to alternatives that may be worth learning more about. Always talk to your doctor, especially if you have a diagnosis. So let's all be a partner on your journey to finally feel good now. And so you could just put in there that this is for education, it's for entertainment. We're not doctors, we don't prescribe that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else? Any other questions? You're good? All right, guys. So if you want more information, I will get some typed up for you. Let you know what kind of class to take, and just contact me, Shelly Jo, SHELLYJO at hypnoaminos.com. And I hope you guys enjoy it. You're welcome. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining me. I hope you learned something.
Hi, Shelly. I had a question. I typed it in. So you're basically hold on, where's my question? It's on the. You're suggesting to register in all of the 4 arenas you talked about, the KDP, Ingram, ACX, and Author Central, correct?
Right.
Register in all 4 of those? Is that what you're
Sure, yeah.
suggesting?
Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything.
Oh, okay, all right. I had no idea.
So-
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
when you go to publish, Ingram Sparks used to charge you $50 and every time you changed it, but they didn't. They've changed it. They've made it free now. So the only thing you're paying once you're publishing is for your author copies. And then if you want to do ads, but things like that. So I would say do them all. Put your
Okay.
books out there in all of them. So,
When you're saying author copies, what are you referring to? The copy of the book?
so once you publish it, instead of buying my book for $19.99 for me, I can buy author copies, which means I get to buy what it actually costs Amazon to print them, or
Any other, okay, got
Right.
it. Mhm.
so it's like $4.50. So an author copy is going to cost you like $4.50 and then you can sell it for whatever you want
Got it.
in your hand.
And
You want to sell them in your hand.
yeah, you'd be responsible for selling it yourself direct.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay. All right, guys, reach out to me if you have any questions. I would love to help you. And meantime, thanks for coming and joining us on the Alliance. And if you aren't a member of the Alliance, please join us. We've got great things. If you're a professional, come and join as a professional so you can join the round tables and learn from like Julia and Valsa, some great people who know what they're talking about. And you also get to come on here and you get to be a speaker. And you also get to be in the Alliance as a professional. So if you take clients, you can also be supported on the Alliance. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.